President Donald Trump has spoken out in support of Charlie Gard, the 10-month-old who's terminally ill with a rare genetic condition. His parents have lost a long-running court battle to try and take him to America for experimental treatment. The President tweeted yesterday, "If we can help little Charlie Gard, as per our friends in the UK and the Pope, we would be delighted to do so." Our next guest has been in regular contact with Charlie's parents because his own son has a similar condition and has received the same experimental treatment that they're fighting for with very positive results. Aunt Estopinan joins us from Baltimore. Welcome to you. Thank you for joining the show. It's an incredibly complicated case, this, and it's really dividing opinion over here. All the medical experts in Great Ormond Street, one of the great hospitals, to the courts, to the judges, they've all reached a conclusion that there is simply no point in trying to prolong this little boy's life. You have a son who is in a similar position with a variant of the same disease, but he has had the treatment in America, this experimental treatment, and you've seen real signs of progress. Tell us about your experience.
Well, absolutely, Pierce. Thank you so much, and it's a great pleasure to be here with you from Baltimore, Maryland, the United States. Our son was told that he would only have 2 months to live. This is a very rare, as you correctly mentioned, a very rare genetic muscular disorder. And with all due respect for many of the great doctors at Great Ormond Street, unfortunately, this disease is not well known amongst a lot of those doctors. The premier pediatric myocardial specialist in the United States and probably the world has said that he has a medical plan to help Charlie Gard like he has helped my son. We were told to go home. He's going to die. There's nothing to do. Don't even look at the internet, is what the doctor told my wife and I. And I said, you know, doctor, I looked at her in the eye and I said, you know, thank you for the diagnosis, because if it wasn't for you, we didn't know what was wrong with our baby. But I could guarantee you that we're not going to go home to him to die. And that's what I started my search. I called 20 to 25 doctors from Harvard to Stanford, all of the major pediatric medical centers in the United States, and we found Columbia University Medical Center in New York City. They gave us hope. Charlie Gard has hope with this doctor as well and this hospital, and the parents have the right to take little Charlie Gard to take care. It doesn't matter if it's a little hope, but at least they have hope, and they don't want their little baby to die without being able to try these experimental medications.
It is a very rare disease or condition, and as we understand, there's only 16 individuals in the world who are affected by it. I wonder if you know, you've had contact with politicians before, and indeed I understand with officials within the American administration. Does President Trump know about your little boy, about the treatment? How did he find out about Charlie Gard? Because obviously his intervention yesterday is extremely powerful.
President Trump has saved Charlie Gard. He was scheduled to be extubated, which means death, for little Charlie Gard yesterday morning. President Trump has saved Charlie Gard, and and His Holiness Pope Francis. So we're hoping that my story is very well known. I used to be chief of staff for a former member of Congress from South Florida. I'm originally from Florida. I just retired. I celebrated my 1-year anniversary July the 1st. And Washington, D.C. and Capitol Hill is a very small place. And I know a lot of my former colleagues are now part of the administration. We're all LinkedIn and social media. I have over 5,000 connections in LinkedIn and throughout all social media. I have been constantly putting up the status of my son and Charlie Gard on social media. I went to London to visit with Charlie Gard and with his parents, and we're connected, even though we're separated in London and in here in the Washington, D.C. area, but our hearts are connected. We are one family,
okay,
and that's why I am working to help Charlie Gard.
Just stay with us for a moment. I want to bring in Hillary Jones. Hillary, we talked about this before, and you were very against, really, trying to prolong Charlie Gard's life. But now we've got the President of the United States, you've got the Pope, all intervening in this case now. And there is a father. Now, it's important to state that his son, Art's son, has a slightly different form of this disease. Yeah. So Charlie's type is a far rarer one called RRM2B. He's one of only 16 sufferers in the world. So it's not exactly the same, but it's similar. And as he said, he was given 2 months to live for his kid.
Yeah. They're both autosomal recessive disorders. In other words, there's 2 copies of the same gene which are mutated. Now, you can't really compare them because it's like saying sickle cell disease is the same as cystic fibrosis. It isn't. Very, very different. So the risk is you compare 2 different kinds of diseases. They're different mutations. And Charlie's starting point was much worse, I think, than Art's son was in the first place. And, you know, yes, the Pope's got involved, Donald Trump's got involved, but really, what has it got to do with them? They've got their own agendas.
Except that
this is about the parents.
That has actually saved Charlie Gard's life.
It's saved life, but what else has it saved?
You want to respond to that?
Yeah. No, I want to respond because I am not a physician, but as I understand it, they are first cousins. I just spoke to the doctor from Columbia University Medical Center, and who is the expert? I don't know who this gentleman is, but this doctor in the United States, I trust him with my son's life, and he's saying that there's a little hope that they could save Charlie Gard. They're first cousins. They're the same nuclear muscular prototype. Connie Yates researched all of this, and she gave the medical plan to his doctors, to Charlie's doctors, 7 months ago or 8 months ago. Yet they have had him intubated for all this time.
Okay, let me bring back Hilary. Hilary, it really comes down to this, doesn't it? What right does a parent have to try and do something to prolong the life of their little baby son? Right? Every right. Right. They don't have every right, do they? Because right now they are being blocked from doing this. And I simply, you know, my sort of head says trust Great Ormond Street, trust the right? But my heart says, as a father, if that was me, I would try anything.
Yes, you would, unless you thought that what you were going to try could cause more harm than good. Unless you thought it would prolong suffering. And this is what it's about. You can keep somebody alive on an artificial respirator. You can give them an IV drip, full-time, 24-hour nursing around the clock. You can give them a gastric tube. But what kind of a life is that you're giving your son or your daughter? And sometimes real parental love is letting go.
Final word to you, Art, because I think you've been able to see such improvement with your son, you can take him out on trips.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What this gentleman is saying is totally 100% false. My son has been on a ventilator for 5 years. He's getting stronger. When he got home 4 years ago, he couldn't move anything, only his eyes. Now he can move his hands, he can move his feet, he can move his fingers. He's a happy boy. Sir, you are totally 100% wrong. Charlie Gard is a human being, and he deserves the opportunity to live.
Yes,
and his
but
parents
do you know the full details of his case as the Great Ormond Street doctors do?
That is not true. There is gene therapy, and with the gene therapy is going to be a cure. What right do you have to play God and say that this boy is not going to get stronger?
This is the accusation
Shame on
against
you.
the doctor.
This is not right.
Yeah, I don't think they're playing God. I think they're compassionate people, they're experienced people. They know Charlie's case better than anybody, and they don't take the decision to switch off life support unless they feel there's good reason. There's a consensus of opinion there. They're well trusted. They know the case, and they know that there are variants between different disorders. Charlie's case, as I understand it, was much more severe than Art's son was in the first place.
Art, Espen, thank you both very much indeed. I mean, who can blame a parent? Who can blame a parent?
Especially after that interview where if you're one of the Gard parents, you're listening to Art, and you're thinking, I want that chance. Yeah.
Thanks both very much indeed, and thank you for your comments.